What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Full Throttle HQ. Today we are back in headquarters and we are working on a 2020 Outlander 850. As you can see, it's kind of partially torn apart. Oh, they're having a standoff. Look at that. Anyway, so yeah, it's partially torn apart. Reason for that, my good friend Justin, aka the Moose, aka Papa Luigi, aka I just made all these names up in my head. That's not what we call him. But he started taking this thing apart, and I think he got a little bit frustrated, and he said, you know what? I'm gonna bring this to you, Chuck, and it could be your headache. So now it's my job and my task to do a clutch kit on this thing today and a lift kit. But right now we're gonna start off by doing a video of the clutch kit. So the clutch kit we're gonna be using today is a Dalton Pro clutch kit, part number DBO850M, and it's for apparently multiple models from what I can see from reading so far the instructions. But we're gonna dive in and we're gonna show you primary spring, secondary spring, and as well as changing the ramps or the fly weights and the actual weights themselves. So let's get to it. All right, ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls. So once you get your plastics off, which I can't show you because he already tackled that, we are going to take off the primary bolt. Before we touch anything, I'm going to mark the primary spot between the cage and the inner sheath. So take a permanent marker and just draw a line so you can identify your clutch positioning, which is very important. It's balanced a certain way, and you want to make sure it goes back the same way. So you're going to take your 19mm socket on your gun. Now this might spring off, so apply some pressure, but this guy's gonna come right off for you like so. There's gonna be a spring in there. This guy's gonna go like that. But also, I wanted to do it a bit slower, but it kind of flew off on me. There is a shim here. There's a washer. There's your bolt, there's your washer, and then there's a shim. Very important. Do not lose configuration of that. I don't know, this machine only has one shim, perhaps there's other ones that have two or whatever, but you have to figure out where the shims go and don't lose track of them, okay? So now that we've got the primary outer sheath out of the way, let's take off the belt, which actually we're gonna have to use the belt tool here. I thought we could cheat. Okay guys, actually, you know what? Change of plans. I'm gonna try to cheat here a little bit and pull this secondary clutch off by just removing this bolt, center bolt here. It might be under a little bit of preload, so be careful. And then I'm just gonna slide the belt off with it. This way we don't have to take an extra step that's not required. Just under a bit of load here. The belt is coming off with it, which is super nice. This one does not have any shims on this machine. Get this much out of your way before you have aluminum catastrophe. And that is off. Now take note, there is a spring back there and there is your helix back there. So you kind of want to leave this aside just for now, like so, somewhere where it's going to be stable. And we're going to dive into the front first. So let's get to it. So here we are on the bench with our primary clutch, which don't forget we marked where we marked it, right here, okay? Remove this guy, remove your primary spring that came off. We're not gonna use that guy anymore. That comes with a new primary spring in the kit. It's a yellow and a red spring. The secondary, we're gonna go with a black and a violet, but we'll get to that after. So now, also comes with flyweights and the actual weights themselves in a little dope bag here. So, I'm gonna flip this thing upside down here. Take the centerpiece out. Careful that these buttons don't slide away on you. It might bind a little bit coming out. If you don't take it out 100% perfectly straight. You get a little mallet or a little dead blow here and just lightly tap her around. What's happening is the buttons are sitting a little cockeyed in the slides of the outer sheave. So you might go like this and just whoop, have it fall off. There we go. Okay, we're out. These are our little buttons that we're going to give a scuffing to later. I will show you guys how to do that. This is a very important part that I want to actually share with you guys. I find it a little bit strange, but hey, that's what the instructions read in the kit, so this is what we're going to go with. So the factory obviously has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Kit only comes with 3. Now, we're going to alternate every other one. So 1, 2, and 3, call it. I'm going to be installing these guys, all right? So we're going to walk you through how to do that. Now, if you have a little bit of an air blower or even some brake cleaner, you can go ahead and just hit this all right now, inside, outside, get some of the dust out of there because it's in your hand and it's not usually in your hand, so now's a good time to give her a quick cleanup. You're gonna start by taking an Allen head, or a Torx rather, sorry, and a socket, a Torx and the socket, probably looks like an 8mm, and maybe a T25. But I will confirm that in a second. And we're gonna alternate which ones we take out here. Like I said, every other one. 1, 2, and 3, okay? So go ahead and remove that now. Off camera there quickly, I just air blew the outer sheath here. Got all the belt dust out of the way. And what I wanna do is I wanna mark the 3 that we're gonna be removing, so we don't mess that up. It is an 8mm and it is a T25 Torx. Right, that's what you're going to find inside. Careful, because you're going to have 2 very tiny shims that saddle this that you're going to need to reuse. Do not lose those. Alright, now that those are removed, what I want to do actually as well, I want to show you guys, you're going to get some very light sandpaper or some emery cloth, and you're going to give these contacts, this piece here, and where the buttons slide, a very light scuffing. The reason being is you don't want them to start forming grooves and gouges, so it's best to help keep things floating. Okay, so clean these 3 up. Just a little bit. You don't have to go nuts. And then go around and hit these slides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay? Go ahead and do that. Right, so once you clean the slides on that other sheet, it looks worse than it is, but there's no gouges. It's nice and smooth now, ready for a new home. Just a little service. You know, this is what you should be doing on a regular anyways. Clean up the buttons here equally as well. This is only a little plastic, so you don't want to go too hard. And when you reassemble everything, you reassemble dry. There's no lubrication here. There's no nothing. It's simply just for them to glide nice again without having grooves and begin binding. So it's good to do this. We do this on the sleds as well, just to clean things up for the season. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and clean this up off camera. All right, so we're all cleaned up. I just took it to the air blower, cleaned it, all the dust and all the stuff off. Now we are ready for assembly. In this little baggie that comes in the kit, oop, you can't see it. Hold on. In this little baggie that comes in the kit, there are 4 different pin weights, from lightest to, I believe, heaviest. And there is a substantial weight difference. Now, what does that mean? Well, the lighter the weight, the later it'll upshift, meaning the higher your RPM. The heavier the weight, the lower RPM, or the earlier it will upshift, the lower red line slash RPM at wide open throttle that you'll have. So it's not to say one is better than the other, but you got to find out where this machine is happiest. So I believe on this machine it's anywhere between 7,000 and 7,300. So we're gonna try to land that smack dab in there. It kind of sucks to go back in and change them. So I'm gonna go with my gut. I'm not gonna go with the lightest. I'm not gonna go with the heaviest. I don't think it's that extreme. This machine is running 30-inch tires, so it's gonna need all the help. But again, we don't want to go overkill. So we have 2.19 grams and 2.89 grams. I haven't decided which ones I'm going to go with, but I'm probably going to go with the 2.89 grams just so I don't over rev the thing. It still makes lots of power. It is an 850, so we're going to go ahead and put these guys in and see what happens, okay? It might be a trial and error type thing. It might work perfectly, but I'd rather under rev an engine rather than over rev an engine. So we're going to run those. Now, we have to install these pins. These little pins have to go in here. And then you take them to the vise and you squeeze them, and this end flares, and that's how it stays in there, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and install those right now. All right, now I have you guys on this side of the court. Like I said, we're running our 2.89 gram weights. And how you're gonna do this is you're supposed to squeeze these pins in a vise, and then it's supposed to flare into place. Let's see how well that works. Well, don't lift the bench now. All right, so I like it. It's now snug in there. As you can see, it's flared this end. Where are we? It's flared the end, and it's wedged itself in there. I might give it a little bit more just so it doesn't come out. Okay, we're in, we're snug, everything's good. You're gonna do that to the other two, so you have 3 the exact same. It is very important, do not crisscross pin weights. Obviously you're gonna have an imbalanced clutch. So stick with the 289s if that's what you guys wanna do to start, which I actually will let you know how it goes, by the way. But do that to the other 2, so all 3 are the same, and then come back. Okie dokie, so put all 3 in. Now, I'm just kind of, OCD about certain things, so I put the heads of each of them on the same sides. Kind of like how I like to clock my spark plugs when I put them in as well, but anyway, I'm a little weird like that. So that's all said and done. Time to install them back into the sheath. Obviously, you guys took the other ones out, so you know what you're doing. Don't forget you have 2 shims. Now this is going to be the fun part. You're going to need to have little baby fingers, not sausage fingers. And basically, it's going to go like so, your shims. And try to pass them through with the bolts. One in, I'm going to go ahead and tighten them after. The other one ready here. Now that we've got all those in, you got your 8mm and your T25 Torx. Snug these up. There is a shoulder on the bolt, so I don't think you can over tighten them, but obviously do not strip the bolts. It is a nylon nut, so you don't need that much. You don't need that much juice on her. You want to make sure that bolt still spins. It's tight, but that bolt needs to still spin. So give it a good seating with your ratchet, but ensure that it's obviously not binding and that you can move this guy around still. Bolts real nice. Okay guys, we are ready to rock and roll here with the primary clutch. One thing I do want to mention is check your rollers. Okay, right now it's only, what are we, middle of 2021, which by the way, we have a hell of a rainstorm coming, so I'm trying to get this ready so we can go play in the mud. But anyway, this clutch is only 1 year old. You know, your rollers might be worn, your buttons here might be worn, and what I recommend is just checking it over, making sure there's no excess play. A little play is normal, little bit of play is normal, but if they're jumping out of there, if they got flat spots, change them up, okay? Now is the time. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead now and install back on. Don't forget we made a mark here for both of them, okay? So the easiest way I found to install this is lay this flat so all your pieces are down. And then you're going to get this unit here and pray that it sinks right in. Although it might bind a little bit on your way down until it falls into place. So there's the clutch, guys. There's the clutch. There's its functionality. That's how it works. Okay, and the primary is all done. All you're gonna need to do to actually put this on the machine is take this guy, put him on here, slide that on the machine, put the clutch over, tighten up your bolts, which we'll get to in a second. But the primary side of things is done. Okay guys, we're back at the secondary spring. We're gonna do the secondary now, and basically I want to compare the two springs here. So we have stock secondary and aftermarket secondary with the K. Take note of these little tangs. Your helix is gonna have a spot for the one, and your secondary clutch is gonna have another hole. Okay, they must go in there. This is just a sleeve, don't lose them. But you're going to need to line this up on reassembly. The aftermarket spring is going to have a bit more spring tension, so you might need a second set of hands to push him off. Okay. Now, what I want to do with this one is basically take our clutch, put him in our clutch first. It's pretty well in there. Okay? Remember, we're gonna try to do this with the belt on if you can. And take note of where the helix is. It's gonna kind of turn in order to line everything up, which is completely normal because the spring has a bit of that preload to twist as it goes on. So make sure that tang goes in the hole. Very, very important. my light, make sure it's in. Okay, we are in the hole on the helix side, we are in the hole on the clutch side. Now we have to overpower this spring and put our bolt on. Okay? Okay guys, so as you can see, I managed to get the clutch on. I did need a spare set of hands. How I did it was I just, with a square application, I just pushed as hard as I could, and I got my buddy to start the threads. Go as many as you can, because that spring pressure was pretty high considering what it was from factory. So we torqued that up to 15 foot-pounds plus 180 degrees. So you mark your head of your bolt after you torque it to 15 foot-pounds, and then you can go to your 180 degrees. And then now, so the back end's all done, or the secondary's all done. Now we got to do just put the primary on, which is actually quite simple. Don't forget you have your bolt with your shim. Then you grab your primary and you slide it on. You don't have to do it this way, but anyhow, first goes on this collar, then of course your spring, and then your outer sheath. He's going to be under a bit of spring pressure as well, but not nearly as bad as the secondary. Then hit that with the gun just to seat it. Now she is on there, and she is good. The torque on that one, 89 foot-pounds plus or minus 6 pounds. So if you go to 90 foot-pounds, that would be sufficient. And then of course, just put the belt on, and your clutches are complete, and your machine is ready to ride. So that wraps up that video there. Okay guys, well that wraps up another install video today. We just showed you how to do the primary and the secondary clutch kit. I hope you guys learned something. I hope you're able to do it on your own. It wasn't too difficult, just sometimes you need a spare set of hands for spring tension. But next up, I'm going to show you how to do the lift kit on this, so stay tuned, come on back and watch how that one's done. Full throttle or no throttle?